what's known there as St Aloysius College Village. And the year before, a group of mothers had decided they'd go and see for themselves what their sons did when they went away. And not wanting to be outdone, the fathers thought, well, we'd better go and have a look too. I heard about it at the last minute and tagged along. And when I arrived, we worked on a house, but the thing that struck me as extraordinary was the spirit on that building site of men working to provide for one another and their respective families. And it was an extraordinary spirit. And then of an evening we had one of the original GK team, a fellow called Dale Loogie, sit down with us and explain to us what this GK thing was about. And in fact, it wasn't the house building that really struck me or caught my imagination. It was when he told me that this area where we were working had been one of the most dangerous in the Philippines, and that, in fact, the murder rate in Bagong Silang had been amongst the highest of anywhere in the world. And yet over the course of about 10 years, the crime rate in Bagong Silang had dropped to amongst the lowest in Metro Manila. And not just in the GK villages, but that spirit of community had begun to spiral out and infect the surrounding areas and had brought peace to those areas. And then when Dale told me that, look, this isn't the only village, because I'd heard that there had been another GK village somewhere else. I said, no, there's actually about 2,000 other villages. And that's when I thought, what we're looking at here is sort of the Henry Ford of community development. It's how do you take a spirit and replicate it? And that was something that I thought was quite extraordinary. I went back to Australia thinking, how might what I've seen here be relevant to the communities that I see in Australia? So I went to the summit in Singapore, and that's where I learnt about the work that was being done with Muslim communities in the south and the peace building that was happening there. And that made me all the more convinced that there was something quite special about GK that I hadn't seen in my travels around the world looking at other community development movements. So later in 2010, I took a group of Aboriginal men, senior people, to test my own reaction to these communities and to this model. And the people I took were amongst the most sceptical I could find. There was one person who went along with it. I've never heard him say a good word about anything. Anyway, they came back from that experience, sold that here was something very special, that something that we didn't have in Australia, something that they hadn't seen in their travels. And from there, the processes developed. And we're talking before about, exports and quality of Philippine products. There may be good hamburgers and there may be good boxes and various other exports from the Philippines. But there is one thing that I can guarantee surpasses everything, and that is the template for love and for building a peaceful world that is being developed in the Philippines.